Welcome to the Story Learning Podcast, regular doses of language learning tips and motivation to help you become fluent in any language. With me, Olly Richards. For language programs, books, free resources, and much more, visit StoryLearning.com. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the I Will Teach You a Language podcast. Merry Christmas, if you're celebrating Christmas. If you're not, well, I hope you enjoy the traffic-free roads and all the other benefits that come with Christmas time for those of you who don't celebrate it. It's been a very relaxing, peaceful time around here, eating copious amounts, but also I've made it to the gym twice. I went to the gym on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, so how about that? Trying to balance out the rough with the smooth. Other than that, just been thinking a lot about the new year, my plans for 2018. I might record an episode about that, which I did last year, actually, and it's very interesting. I think I mentioned this in a recent episode for me to kind of notice that actually I've managed to achieve all of my goals for 2017, which I'm very pleased about. But anyway, I'll save that for another time because I think it's quite interesting to dive into that and specifically and think about how that relates to language learning as well. You know, not just starting the new year with doing what we did before, but actually trying to think of new ways of doing things and, you know, to pause to think about whether what we're doing is the right thing to do. I know in my case, I've got those questions flying around my head. So we'll maybe discuss that a little bit in a couple of episodes' time. All right, then. We are going to get straight to the question. The question is from Masood, who is a second-time questioner. He left a question in episode 83, in fact, which was... the title of that was, Should Language Learning Be Unconscious? And I thought that was a very interesting question. He's back with another question, which is actually, we've heard it many times on the show before, but as I'm starting to learn myself, if we give these common questions a personal twist, like we actually focus on the specific case of the individuals, we can make it more interesting and keep things fresh. So here is Masood.
Hi, Ollie. This is Masood from Iran again. You should still remember me from podcast 83, I suppose. So today I have a new question for you, and I really hope you can help me with that. And the question has to do with me wanting to learn my third language, German. I'm a little bit afraid, not a little bit, but I'm really afraid that I'm going to lose my second language if I start learning a third language. And what I mean specifically by that is that I'm going to need to put a lot of time and effort into acquiring the third language. So because of that time that I'm about to take away from English and put it in, invest it on German, I think I'm going to reach an intermediate level in German in maybe 6 or 7 months, but at a cost of, making my English a little bit rusty. And this is not what I really want because languages for me are not just means of communications. I make money out of it, and I need to be I keep my level at a really good level. So that is really serious for me. And another issue that I'm facing is that the country I'm living in, Iran, we don't get that much immersion opportunities. So I need to go through a lot of effort in order to get myself exposed to the languages that I'm going to learn. So because of that, I need to make the right decision. It is really serious for me here. And, I don't want to be in possess of, as Chinese put it, a lot of knives, none of which is sharp. Okay, so if with your experience as a polyglot, you already know what I'm saying, please let me know whether this is a right decision or not, whether I will be losing a little bit of my second language at a cost of acquiring a third language and maintaining both at a certain level, let's say intermediate or upper intermediate. That's not what I want. So I hope you can help me with that. Sorry if the question is longer than 1 minute. Thank you for listening. I'm looking forward to hearing your answer. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hi, Masood. Thank you very much for your question. It's good to hear from you again. I really appreciate second-time questioners. So glad that you are still listening to the show and hope that you continue to get some benefit from it. All right, then. So for those of you guys listening, I mean, you will know that we've answered this kind of question many times. Like, is this the right time to learn a second language or a third language? What's going to happen to my other language? And you'll know that my kind of stock answer to this is, well, don't learn two languages at the same time, which is not Masood's question. And then in terms of when is the right time to learn a new language, well, it's always going to be personal, but typically if you get the language that your existing language to a kind of B2 level, then, all right, it might get a bit rusty, but you'll never lose it. And now in Masood's case, his English was wonderful, way above B2, and it's clearly a C1, if not higher. So, Masood, there is no realistic danger of you losing English. But your question was specifically, is there a danger of it getting rusty? Now, I don't know how often you use English. I suspect that you... So, I mean, I know you earn a living with languages, so I'm going to assume that you work in English. And if you speak English every day, and if you use it every day, or you read English every day, I don't really think that you're going to experience a big drop in level. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. Now, if you are, for example, a translator and you need to spend a lot of time every day keeping on top of, specific topics and things like that, well, that's your job. And so that has to come first. All right. We don't want you to suffer in your career because of that. But let me give you a different spin on my answer today. And this is based on something that I've been thinking about recently. In many areas of my own life, I have these questions. And I think for people like us, Masood, the danger is that we become a little bit too analytical. We think too much. And we end up thinking so much that we never actually do the one thing which gets us to our answer, which is action. So I think in most cases, what's that famous quote? Is it Mark Twain? I think it's Mark Twain that said, I've had a lot of worries in my life, most of which never happened. And I think this describes quite nicely what happens to many of us who tend to think a lot and analyze situations too much. The best way to get to your answer is to try it out. And the worst case scenario is very rarely as bad as you think it will be. So the way that I've been thinking about challenges like this recently is to set a period of time in which to experiment. And you can set that period of time to be whatever you feel is most comfortable. So let's say it's 1 month. Would you be willing, Masood, to devote 1 month to this project and to spend 1 month learning German in the way that suits you? And then after 1 month, you stop and you say to yourself, right, how has this been? You look back over this month. Have you felt a significant impact on your English? Have you learned a lot of German? Just take stock of the situation and then just stop to see and reflect on whether or not you think it's working. If you are worried and you think that maybe this is not a good idea, well then you stop and you go back to doing what you were doing before. In 1 month, you're not going to lose anything, so don't worry about that. I mean, I think you could probably, for me, 3 months is a pretty good time period. I think you could safely say, right, let's spend 3 months learning German. And then after 3 months, I'm going to set a reminder in my calendar. I'm going to, go and take a break, grab a coffee, and just think about the last 3 months. And then you can decide whether to continue or not. You don't need to make a final decision that you have to live with forever. Devote a period of time to trying it out, and then you will know yourself, and you won't have to care about what I think or what anybody else thinks, because you will know yourself. I have a strong suspicion that your English will not suffer that much. And I think the benefits to learning your third language will far outweigh that. But again, I think because you're a thoughtful person, you will listen to what I say, but ultimately you're going to have to make up your own mind. And so that's why I think that it would be really good for you to just devote a period of time to that. Last year, I spent a month learning German. It was 2016, I think. Yeah, it was. And I spent the month of April learning German. I decided to take a break from what I was doing at the time. And I said, right, I really want to learn some German. So I'm just going to spend 1 month doing it. And so for the whole month of April, every morning I sat and I went through a textbook. And I got to the end of the month and I thought, that's fine. I've learned some good stuff. I don't necessarily want to continue right now, but I've enjoyed myself. My brain is fresh. I've done something different. And as a result of that, in that case, I decided not to continue. And that's fine. I went back to doing what I was doing before. But it was really fun, and I'm glad that I did it. I could have kept thinking about doing that for years and never done anything. But as a result, I tried it out. It gives me a sense of completion, and then I can kind of realize, that happened, and that's the kind of completed experience I have. I think in every case, kind of having that complete experience is always a good thing, because it stops you, it gets the thought out of the back of your mind. I always find that if you don't try something out, it just sort of sits there and eats away at you, and you're always thinking, well, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that. My view now is like, just do it. You know, I know you said in your case, Masood, that you don't have that many immersion opportunities in Iran. You know, I think for the first few months, that doesn't really matter so much. You can just go through textbooks, you can listen and read, grab a copy of my German short stories for beginners book, you know, go through that, read some stories, listen to the audio, just have some fun with it. Try devoting a period of time to the language, see what happens, and then you can answer your own question. I think for you, that's probably the best way to do it. All right, so I hope that was helpful. If you would like to ask me a question, just like Masood did, you can go to iwillteachyoualanguage.com/ask. Also, if you've been enjoying the show, and in the spirit of Christmas, generosity and all that, maybe you would feel like giving me an iTunes review. That would be super helpful, because it helps other people find the show and helps me to stay motivated as well. If you leave a review, I may read it out on the show at some point too, as a token of appreciation. You can do that by going to the iTunes store, searching for I Will Teach You a Language, the podcast, and you can just press a star rating there and leave a review. I would be very grateful for that. All right, then. So at the end of every episode, I like to leave you with a resource of some kind on the topic of the show. And today I think I'm going to repeat that quote from earlier, because I've just looked it up and I was actually right, word for word. So it comes from Mark Twain, and he said, "I've had a lot of worries in my life, most of which never happened." So what are you worrying about? What's that thing that you've been thinking about doing and you've been concerned about for the last few months, but you haven't really taken any steps forward to determine whether or not it is a genuine concern or not? Maybe 2018 is the time when you just give that a try, and you can then put that to bed and live more peacefully as a result. Anyway, something to think about. Merry Christmas, and see you next time. Thanks for listening to today's episode. And you know, here at Story Learning, everything that I do is powered by stories, whether that's writing books, teaching lessons, crafting courses. My mission is to help everyone succeed at learning a new language through the power of story. And we now have comprehensive language courses in over 15 languages, from Spanish to French, Korean to Japanese, and across all levels from beginner to mastery. And you can take a 7-day free trial of any of these programs by visiting storylearning.com/courses. I've poured my heart and soul into creating these courses over the last 10 or so years, and we've helped tens of thousands of new students achieve their dreams of learning a new language, all through the power of story. So go ahead and take a free trial. There's no commitment. You can try out our method for free, see if this can also be the breakthrough for you that it's been for so many other people. storylearning.com/courses.